The night sky was heavy with thick clouds, and the bitter wind howled relentlessly through the trees lining the icy mountain road. A relentless winter storm had gripped the small town of Pine Ridge for the past 24 hours, covering everything in a thick, blinding blanket of snow and turning the roads into treacherous sheets of ice. Most residents had wisely stayed home, keeping fires burning and supplies close. But Officer Daniels was out on his routine patrol, a sense of responsibility pushing him forward despite the biting cold and poor visibility. The highway was nearly deserted. Headlights from a few cars struggled through the storm, but traffic was sparse. Snowflakes swirled in the air, sometimes settling on the cracked windshield of Daniel's police cruiser. The wipers moved rhythmically, clearing the glass just enough to keep the path ahead faintly visible. It was the kind of night where one wrong move on the road could mean disaster. As Daniels carefully rounded a bend near the edge of the forest, something suddenly appeared in the distance, a shape, standing motionless in the middle of the road. At first he thought it might be a fallen branch or a piece of debris caught in the snow. But as he drew closer, the shape took on unmistakable form. It was a dog, a German shepherd. Large and strong-looking, its dark fur was flecked with snow, and its sharp eyes reflected the cruiser's headlights with urgent intelligence. The dog was not running away. It stood its ground, right in the middle of the slick highway, unafraid. Officer Daniels instinctively slammed on the brakes, tires skidding slightly on the ice as the cruiser slowed to a cautious stop. The dog barked sharply, a sound that cut through the roar of the storm. Then it took a few steps forward and stopped, turning back to look directly at Daniels. It was as if it was trying to send a message, a silent plea for help. Daniels felt a knot tighten in his stomach. Something wasn't right. This was no ordinary dog wandering lost. It was trying to get his attention, trying to lead him somewhere. He flicked on the cruiser's emergency lights, casting a red and blue glow onto the snow-covered road, and slowly opened his door. The cold hit him like a wall as he stepped outside, crunching on the icy gravel. The German shepherd didn't hesitate. It barked again, then trotted a few yards ahead before pausing and looking back, ears perked, eyes sharp and full of urgency. Daniels grabbed his flashlight from the cruiser and clicked it on, the narrow beam cutting through the thick snowfall. He motioned for the dog to stay as he cautiously followed, his boots crunching through fresh snow. As they moved away from the highway and into the dense woods, the wind whipped harder, shaking tree branches heavy with ice. Daniels kept glancing at the dog, who seemed unfazed by the storm's fury. The animal led him along a narrow path obscured by snow and fallen limbs, sometimes stopping to look back, as if making sure the officer was still following. Daniel's heart pounded. Every step deeper into the woods felt like stepping into the unknown. The dog's barking became more urgent, higher pitched. Then, faintly in the distance, Daniels heard something else, a weak cry. At first it was almost lost beneath the wind's howl, but it grew clearer with every second. A child's cry. His breath caught in his throat. This was no ordinary call. The German shepherd bolted ahead again, bounding through the snow with surprising speed for such a harsh night. Daniels sprinted after him, the adrenaline pushing aside the biting cold. Branches scratched at his coat, snowflakes stung his face, but he didn't slow down. The cries echoed in his ears, growing louder. Suddenly, through the trees, Daniels spotted a dark shape wedged in the snowy ravine below the road, the wreckage of a vehicle. It was almost invisible beneath the ice-coated branches, but the beams of his flashlight caught the broken glass and twisted metal. Daniel's breath froze in his chest. This was it. The dog had led him straight to something, or someone, desperately needing help. The icy wind tore through the dense forest, rattling brittle branches overhead like nature's warning bells. Officer Daniels stood at the edge of the ravine, the weight of the night's discovery pressing down on him. His flashlight trembled slightly in his gloved hand as he tried to steady his breath, his eyes fixed on the wreckage below. The SUV lay crumpled, half buried in snow, its once proud frame now twisted and broken against the frozen earth. But before he could move closer, the German shepherd, Max, barked sharply, breaking the eerie silence of the forest. The dog was restless, pacing along the icy slope. And then, as if sensing Daniel's hesitation, Max bolted ahead, stopping every few feet to look back. It was an urgent invitation. "Follow me." Daniels didn't need any further encouragement. The rescue was underway. Navigating the steep, snow-slicked descent was treacherous. Every step had to be deliberate, the officer gripping tree trunks and roots to keep from falling. The cold bit into his face, but Daniels barely noticed. His focus was solely on the dog's every movement. Max was more than a guide. He was a beacon of hope in a frozen wilderness. As Daniels neared the wreckage, he could hear it more clearly now. A soft, persistent cry. The unmistakable sound of a child, frightened and cold. Daniel's heart pounded fiercely in his chest. He called out into the darkness, his voice hoarse but steady. "Hello, is anyone there? Can you hear me?" There was no immediate reply. Just the wind, carrying the child's whimpers toward him like a fragile lifeline. Max barked again, then turned toward the passenger side of the wrecked vehicle, where the windows were frosted over and cracked. Daniels carefully made his way to the passenger door. The metal was twisted but not completely sealed, and with a gloved hand he pushed against the icy glass. It gave way with a sharp crack, sending shards cascading onto the snow below. Inside, the dim beam of his flashlight revealed the figure of a woman slumped forward, her face pale and smudged with dirt. Nearby, in a car seat secured to the back, a toddler's face was visible, eyes wide with fear and tears streaming down chubby cheeks. "Mom? Are you all right? Can you hear me?" Daniels called gently, kneeling beside the wreck. The woman's eyelids fluttered and she groaned softly. Her breathing was shallow, but she was alive. "I'm Officer Daniels," he said calmly. "Help. Care's coming." Max stayed close, nuzzling the woman's arm with his cold nose, his expression protective. Daniels noted the dog's collar, which bore the name Max. It was clear the dog belonged to the woman and child trapped inside. "Max." "You did good, boy," Daniels whispered. The dog's eyes met his, shining with fierce loyalty and intelligence beyond words. It was then that the full weight of the situation settled on Daniels. Without Max's frantic efforts to get help, they might never have been found, buried beneath layers of snow and ice. The mother's car had skidded off the road during the storm the night before, lost and trapped with no way to call for help. Daniels fumbled for his radio, urgency sharpening his voice. "Dispatch. This is Daniels. I've located a vehicle down. A ravine on County Road 14. There's a woman and a child trapped inside. Request immediate medical and fire rescue. Conditions are dangerous, but I'm with them." Static hissed on the other end, before a calm voice responded. "Copy that. Daniels, units en route. Hold tight and keep the victims warm." The realization that backup was on its way brought a flicker of relief, but Daniels knew the cold was the enemy. The woman's pale skin was nearly translucent, and the toddler's cries were weakening. Time was critical. He carefully wrapped his jacket around the child, lifting the little one gently from the car seat. Max stood watch, growling softly at anyone who approached too close. Daniel spoke soothing words to the toddler, his voice a warm anchor in the freezing dark. As he waited for rescue teams to arrive, Daniels stole a glance at Max, the dog who had crossed an icy, treacherous road, braved a blizzard, and led a rescuer to a hidden wreck that might have otherwise claimed 2 innocent lives. In that moment, under the unforgiving winter sky, Officer Daniels realized that sometimes heroes come on 4 legs. The icy slope beneath Officer Daniels was treacherous, but his focus was unwavering. Every step down the embankment toward the wrecked SUV was a reminder of how close to disaster the small family had come. The night storm had covered the ravine in a deceptive white blanket of snow, hiding the crash from passing drivers and turning what should have been a routine drive into a desperate fight for survival. As Daniels approached the vehicle, the harsh glow of his flashlight revealed twisted metal and shattered glass tangled in branches, a frozen monument to the violent crash. The SUV's roof was dented and caved in, its side pressed hard against a tree trunk that had stopped its final slide. Snow clung to every surface, muffling sound and deepening the cold that seeped into Daniel's bones. Inside, the woman, Anna, as Daniels would soon learn, was barely conscious. Her face was pale and streaked with dirt, and her breath came in shallow, irregular gasps. Beside her, a tiny toddler was strapped securely in a car seat, crying softly but steadily, the child's fragile wails piercing the cold night air. Daniels knelt beside the vehicle, careful to avoid broken glass and jagged metal. He reached through a shattered window and gently lifted the child out of the seat, his breath visible in the frigid air. Wrapping the toddler in his jacket, he felt the small body trembling uncontrollably, teeth chattering from cold and shock. The German shepherd, Max, remained by the woman's side, resting his head gently on her lap, as if offering silent comfort. In the frozen darkness, Daniels watched the dog's calm presence and thought of the journey Max must have taken, escaping the wreck, navigating the storm, and running through the icy night to find help. It was an instinct driven by love and desperation, and Daniels knew that without this dog's loyalty, this rescue might never have happened. He carefully checked Anna's pulse and found it weak but steady. She stirred slightly, her eyes fluttering, open just long enough to meet his gaze. "Help, my babe," she whispered, voice barely audible over the wind. Daniels squeezed her hand reassuringly, promising her help was coming. Minutes felt like hours as Daniels worked to keep the toddler warm and Anna stable. The cold was a relentless enemy, creeping deeper with every passing moment. He radioed for emergency crews again, emphasizing the urgency of the situation and the difficult terrain they would face. "Fire and medical teams are on their way," he said aloud, hoping his words would reach the small family trapped in the wreck. Despite the cold and the danger, Max did not leave the woman's side. He growled softly whenever Daniels moved away, protective and alert. The bond between dog and owner was unmistakable, a testament to the deep connection that had motivated Max's perilous journey. Suddenly, headlights appeared at the edge of the road above, piercing the darkness like a beacon. Rescue teams were arriving, their voices calling out as they prepared equipment for the descent. Daniels guided them carefully down the ravine, explaining the condition of the woman and child and warning of the icy obstacles ahead. The rescue was tense and delicate. Firefighters carefully maneuvered through the snow and broken branches, using ropes and stretchers to reach the trapped family. Daniels helped transfer Anna onto a stretcher, her eyes closing as she was wrapped in thermal blankets. The toddler, now wrapped warmly and comforted by the medics, clung to Daniel's jacket as if sensing safety at last. Max remained by the side of the vehicle until the last moment, then was gently coaxed up by the rescuers. As Anna and her child were carried to the waiting ambulance, Daniels stood at the edge of the ravine watching the scene unfold. The storm had not beaten them, not this time. And it had been Max, the German shepherd, who had changed the outcome. Daniels felt a deep swell of gratitude and respect for the dog who had shown such courage and intelligence in the face of danger. The night's silence was no longer just cold and dark. It was filled with the quiet echo of a life saved. The roar of the ambulance's engine filled the frosty air as paramedics worked quickly, wrapping Anna in thermal blankets and carefully loading her onto the stretcher. The toddler, now securely held in the arms of a medic, whimpered softly but seemed calmer under the warm protection. Yet, through it all, one presence remained steadfast and unwavering. Max, the German shepherd. Max stood at the edge of the ravine, eyes sharp and focused. The dog's low growl echoed quietly in the snow-covered silence whenever anyone approached Anna or her child. It was clear Max was not about to abandon his family. Not now, not ever. Officer Daniels watched the scene unfold with a mix of admiration and surprise. He'd seen dogs at accident scenes before, but he had never witnessed one so fiercely protective, so intelligent, so aware of the gravity of the moment. Max was no ordinary dog. He was a guardian, a hero in fur. When one of the paramedics tried to coax Max into the ambulance, the dog stiffened and barked sharply. The officer stepped forward and knelt beside the dog, speaking in a calm, soothing voice. "It's okay, Max. They're here to help." But Max wasn't convinced. His eyes stayed locked on Anna and the toddler, his stance rigid as a soldier standing guard. Daniels could tell the dog's bond with them ran deep, more than just an animal instinct. This was loyalty forged by love and survival. The paramedics exchanged knowing looks, but let Max stay close. For the next few minutes, as Anna was checked for injuries and stabilized, Max remained nearby, pacing slowly but never straying far. The dog's presence seemed to comfort Anna, whose eyes flickered open occasionally to glance at her faithful companion. Finally, with Anna safely secured inside the ambulance and the toddler bundled up beside her, Daniels turned to Max. "Come. On, boy, let's get you warmed up." Max hesitated, casting one last glance back toward the SUV and the dense woods beyond. Then, with a small bark, he followed Daniels to the cruiser, the snow crunching beneath their feet. Once inside, Daniels peeled off his coat and wrapped it around the dog, who immediately settled on the seat, panting lightly but calm. The storm was still raging outside, but inside the cruiser was a sanctuary, warmth and safety after the perilous night. Daniels reached for his radio, calling dispatch to update the situation. "Anna and the child are en route to Pine Ridge Hospital. Condition is stable, but critical. Max is with me now. This dog deserves recognition. He saved their lives." Tonight, as they drove back toward town, Daniels glanced over at Max, who rested his head on the dashboard. The dog's eyes met his, reflecting the faint glow of the cruiser's instrument panel. In those eyes, Daniels saw something profound, a fierce courage, a spirit that refused to give up even in the face of a merciless storm. Word of Max's heroism was already beginning to spread. Bystanders who had heard the early reports called the police station, eager to know more about the dog who had stopped a police car in the middle of a blizzard. Social media accounts from nearby residents shared images of the snow-covered highway and the dangerous conditions that night. Daniels knew this story was more than just a routine rescue. It was a reminder of the unexpected heroes who walk among us, four-legged and furry, full of courage and heart. Back at the station, Daniels made a call to animal control and local veterinarians to ensure Max would receive a thorough checkup and care. He also reached out to Anna's family to reassure them that their beloved dog was safe and being honored for his bravery. Max, meanwhile, remained quietly alert, as if aware that his job was far from over. He had found his family, saved them from the icy grasp of death, and now stood ready to face whatever came next. The officer thought about how that night had unfolded, the howling wind, the frozen road, the distant cries for help, and a single dog's determination that had changed everything. Sometimes, he realized, a hero doesn't wear a badge or a uniform. Sometimes a hero comes with four paws and a wagging tail. News of Max's heroic actions spread like wildfire through the small town of Pine Ridge. From the local diner to the grocery store, everyone was talking about the brave German shepherd who had saved a mother and her child from a deadly winter crash. Social media pages were flooded with posts celebrating Max's courage, sharing photos, and expressing gratitude. Officer Daniels sat in the police station, watching as his phone buzzed relentlessly with messages and calls from reporters and concerned citizens alike. The station's phone line had become a lifeline for those who wanted to learn more about the dog, who had risked everything to lead help to a stranded family. Despite the attention, Daniels remained focused on one thing: ensuring Max's well-being. The dog had endured a grueling night in the freezing cold and snow, running miles through dangerous terrain to find help. It was a testament to his loyalty and endurance, but it was also clear he needed rest, warmth, and care. Animal control arrived. At the station with a veterinarian in tow, Max was gently examined, his vital signs checked and his paws carefully inspected for injuries. The vet confirmed Max was exhausted, but otherwise healthy, a true survivor. Daniels breathed a sigh of relief. Max had pulled through one of the harshest nights of his life. Meanwhile, Anna and her child were recovering steadily at Pine Ridge Hospital. Doctors said Anna's injuries were serious, but not life-threatening, thanks in large part to the quick response. The toddler, though shaken, was expected to make a full recovery. The family's relief was palpable, and their gratitude toward Max was overwhelming. Word reached Daniels that Anna wanted to personally thank the dog who had saved them. Arrangements were made for the family to visit the police station once Anna was discharged. The community prepared for a special welcome, a celebration not just of survival, but of the unbreakable bond between a family and their loyal companion. The town organized a small ceremony in the police station parking lot, complete with banners and heartfelt speeches. Local officials, neighbors and news crews gathered to honor Max and the incredible courage he had shown. Children brought handmade cards, and residents donated blankets and dog food to ensure Max's comfort in the days ahead. As the ceremony began, Anna appeared, supported by a friend but smiling despite her injuries. Her eyes immediately sought Max, who sat proudly beside Officer Daniels, tail wagging softly. The reunion was tender and emotional. Anna knelt down, hugging Max, with tears streaming down her face. "This dog saved my life and my child's," she said, her voice filled with gratitude. "I don't know how to thank him enough." Max licked her cheek gently, sensing the deep bond that had carried them through the darkest night. Daniel stepped forward, addressing the crowd. "Max showed us all what true loyalty and courage look like," Daniel said. "Sometimes the bravest heroes don't wear badges or uniforms. They have 4 paws and a heart bigger than most." The crowd erupted in applause, the chilly air warmed by the spirit of hope and community. Max, ever humble, simply sat and soaked it all in, his eyes bright and attentive. In the days that followed, Max became a local legend, the story of the German shepherd who stopped a police car on an icy road and led rescuers to a crash site captured, Halts far beyond Pine Ridge. Local newspapers ran feature articles, and a nearby animal shelter even started a fund in Max's honor to help other dogs in need. Officer Daniels found himself visiting Max often. He brought treats and extra blankets, and sometimes simply sat quietly beside the dog, reflecting on the night that had changed so many lives. It was a bond forged in crisis, but built to last. The storm had tested everyone, the family, the community, and especially Max, but it had also revealed the extraordinary power of loyalty, courage, and the unspoken language between humans and their best friends. As winter slowly gave way to spring, Max's story became a symbol of hope, reminding everyone in Pine Ridge that even in the darkest times, heroes can come in the most unexpected forms. Spring crept slowly over Pine Ridge, melting the last stubborn patches of ice and snow from the roadside where the accident had occurred. The biting cold that had gripped the town all winter began to soften, bringing with it a sense of renewal, both in the world outside and in the hearts of those touched by the night's harrowing events. Anna was finally released from the hospital. Her injuries, though serious, were healing steadily under the care of her doctors. But even as her body mended, she found herself grappling with a deeper sense of gratitude and awe for the dog who had become their guardian angel, Max. The reunion at the police station had marked the beginning of a new chapter for the family. Anna's husband, Mark, who had been out of town on business the night of the crash, rushed back as soon as he heard the news. Overwhelmed with relief and thanks, he knelt beside Max, stroking the thick fur of the German shepherd who had brought his family back from the brink. "Thank you, Max," Mark whispered, tears welling in his eyes. "You saved our family." Max wagged his tail, accepting the praise with quiet dignity. But what had truly bonded this family was more than just a life saved. It was the way Max had refused to leave, the way he had risked everything for the people he loved. Officer Daniels continued to check in regularly, visiting Max and the family whenever he could. The experience had left a lasting impact on him as well, reminding him of the extraordinary trust between humans and animals. Daniels found himself thinking about the stormy night often, about the icy road, the desperate cries for help, and the dog who had made all the difference. At the same time, Max was becoming a star in Pine Ridge. The local animal shelter arranged for him to receive a well-deserved award for bravery. A shiny medal hung proudly from his collar during a special ceremony attended by townsfolk, media, and even local officials. But despite the recognition, Max remained the same loyal, humble dog. He was happiest when he was with his family, guarding them not with ferocity, but with quiet watchfulness and endless love. The community support didn't stop. There, inspired by Max's story, a group of residents banded together to improve safety measures along the dangerous stretch of County Road 14. New road signs warning of icy conditions were installed, and local volunteers organized regular patrols. During winter storms to assist stranded drivers, the ripple effect of one dog's courage was profound. Max had not only saved a family, he had brought a community together. Meanwhile, Anna worked to rebuild her strength. Each day brought new challenges, but she faced them with determination, bolstered by the love surrounding her. And through it all, Max was by her side, a constant presence in their healing journey. One afternoon, as sunlight filtered through the budding leaves, Anna sat on the porch with Max resting at her feet. She smiled softly, thinking back to the night of the crash. It had been terrifying, but it had also revealed something incredible: the power of loyalty, hope, and the unbreakable bond between a dog and his family. For Anna, Max was more than a pet. He was a guardian, a friend, and a hero who had reminded them all what it meant to never give up. Officer Daniels stopped by that day, carrying a package wrapped in bright paper. "We thought Max deserved something special," he said, handing it to Anna. Inside was a new, sturdy dog harness and leash, along with a book on search and rescue training for dogs. "Maybe one day," Daniels said with a smile, "Max could become a certified rescue dog." Anna's eyes sparkled. The thought of Max continuing to save lives, sharing his courage with others, filled her with pride. As spring bloomed fully around Pine Ridge, the family, with Max leading the way, looked forward to new beginnings. The nightmare of the winter storm was behind them, replaced by hope, healing, and the promise of many more happy days ahead. In the heart of it all was Max, the German shepherd, who had defied the icy night and brought light back into their lives. The following weeks brought fresh energy and purpose into Max's life. After the winter rescue, the community's support and the family's love had created a renewed sense of hope, not just for Anna and her child, but for the courageous dog, who had become a local legend. Officer Daniels and Anna agreed to explore the idea of training Max as a certified search and rescue dog. The vet had confirmed Max was healthy and energetic, and his remarkable instincts during the rescue made him an ideal candidate. The thought of Max helping others was a natural extension of his incredible bravery. The training program was held at a regional canine center, known for producing highly skilled rescue dogs. Max, under Anna's watchful eye and Daniel's occasional visits, began learning new skills, following scent trails, locating missing persons, and navigating difficult terrain. The work was demanding, but Max approached it with enthusiasm and determination. At first, the exercises were simple, finding hidden objects or people in controlled environments, but Max's sharp mind and keen senses quickly impressed the trainers. His ability to focus, even amidst distractions, set him apart. One day, during a particularly challenging search simulation in a wooded area, Max's nose caught a faint scent that no other dog detected. He led his handler directly to the hidden victim, earning high praise from the trainers. Anna watched with pride, tears welling in her eyes. "That's my boy," she whispered. "He's meant for this." Officer Daniels visited the training center often, bringing treats and encouragement. He marveled at how Max transformed from a frightened dog, caught in a storm, to a confident, purposeful partner in rescue work. Max's training wasn't just about skills, it was about deepening the bond between dog and handler, learning to trust each other implicitly. For Anna, this was a chance to give Max the recognition and role he deserved. As Max progressed, news of his journey inspired more people in Pine Ridge. Local schools invited Anna and Daniels to speak about safety, resilience, and the incredible bond between humans and animals. Max would accompany them, delighting children with his friendly nature and showing off some of his trained skills. The once icy road that had nearly claimed a family became a symbol of hope and determination. Pine Ridge's community came together to promote awareness about winter safety and the value of working with trained rescue dogs like Max. One memorable day, Daniels received a call about a missing hiker caught in a sudden spring storm in a nearby forest. The search teams mobilized quickly, and Max was called in to assist. Navigating through thick underbrush and slippery slopes, Max's training and instincts kicked into overdrive. After a tense hour, Max barked loudly, alerting the team to the hiker's location. The man was cold and exhausted but unharmed, thanks to Max's sharp nose and swift action. The rescue was a testament to the dog's growing skills and the effectiveness of the training. For Daniels and Anna, it was a proud moment, proof that Max's bravery had grown into a life-saving vocation. Max's story continued to spread beyond Pine Ridge. Animal rescue organizations reached out, seeking advice on training dogs with similar instincts. Anna and Daniel shared their experience, hoping to inspire more people to recognize the potential in every dog. Max, for his part, remained humble. Whether at a community event or a life-or-death search, he stayed focused on the task, motivated by the simple desire to protect and help. The dog who had once braved a deadly storm to find help had now found a new purpose, one that would allow him to save many more lives. As the sun set over the rolling hills of Pine Ridge, Max rested contentedly at Anna's feet, ready for whatever adventure tomorrow might bring. Months had passed since Max's heroic rescue on the icy road. The seasons had changed, and with spring turning to summer, Pine Ridge blossomed into a vibrant community, alive with gratitude and pride for the German Shepherd who had become its hero. Max's training was complete. Officially certified as a search and rescue dog, he now stood ready to serve whenever called upon. But his greatest reward was not the medal pinned to his collar or the applause at ceremonies. It was the life he had saved and the family he had protected. Anna and her family had fully recovered. The crash remained a painful memory, but it was also a reminder of the resilience found in the darkest moments. Max's unwavering loyalty had brought them through, a beacon of hope in a storm of despair. The day of Max's official induction into the county's search and rescue team was marked by a community celebration. The town square overflowed, with neighbors, friends, and reporters. Children waved handmade signs, and local musicians played joyful tunes. Officer Daniels gave a heartfelt speech, his voice steady with emotion. Max has shown us what it means to be brave, to never give up, and to always protect those we love. Tonight we honor not just a dog, but a true hero. As Max stood proudly beside Anna and Daniels, the crowd cheered. Photographers snapped pictures, capturing the moment that would be remembered for years to come. But Max's story did not end with fame. Over the following months, he took part in multiple rescue missions, from locating lost hikers in dense forests to assisting in flood evacuations. Each time, his skill and determination saved lives, proving that his courage was not a one-time act, but a lifelong commitment. In one particularly harrowing mission, Max helped find a child trapped in a collapsed barn after a severe storm. The search went on for hours in unstable conditions, but Max never wavered. His keen nose led rescuers directly to the child, who was found safe but frightened. The gratitude from the child's family echoed the same relief Anna's family had felt months before. Beyond the rescues, Max became a symbol of hope for Pine Ridge. Schools invited him and Anna to educate children about safety, kindness, and the incredible bond between people and their animals. Local shelters reported increased interest in adopting and training dogs, inspired by Max's story. Anna often reflected on how one fateful night had transformed their lives. What began as a terrifying ordeal on an icy road had blossomed into a legacy of courage, loyalty, and the extraordinary connection between humans and animals. Max, now older but still vibrant and alert, continued to greet each day with the same enthusiasm and readiness that had saved his family. His eyes, wise and gentle, told the story of a dog who had faced fear and emerged victorious. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills, Anna sat on her porch with Max beside her. The air was warm, filled with the scent of blooming flowers and the soft hum of summer insects. She reached down to scratch Max's ears, her heart full. "You're more than a dog, Max," she whispered. "You're our hero, our family's guardian, and you've touched so many lives." Max leaned into her touch, his tail wagging softly. The bond between them was unbreakable, forged in danger, strengthened by love. As the stars began to twinkle, Above Pine Ridge, the town slept peacefully, knowing that whenever darkness threatened, a loyal German shepherd named Max would be there, ready to face the storm and lead the way to safety. The end was not really an end. It was a beginning, a lasting tribute to courage, hope, and the incredible power of a dog's heart.